10 pilot project locations identified for single border agency. Overwhelming response at National Farmers, Breeders and Fishermen's Day. Well, salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. Now, the 8th Extraordinary Islamic Summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, will be held to discuss the ongoing Israeli aggression in Palestine. The extraordinary gathering held at the King Abdulaziz Convention Center in Riyadh follows Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim's extensive engagement with several OIC leaders on the Palestinian issue and Israel's unabated military aggression. Now, during the summit, the Prime Minister will again underscore Malaysia's unwavering stance on the imperative need to conclusively and permanently halt Israel's genocidal actions against the Palestinians in Gaza. The extraordinary summit is expected to adopt a final communique. Dato' Sri Anwar will join several other leaders of Islamic nations, including the President of Turkey and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Now, the presence of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is of utmost significance due to their immense influence in uniting Islamic nations across borders. They also have the capability to apply pressure to Israel and their major ally, the United States. Well, earlier, Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim arrived in Saudi Arabia to attend the 8th Extraordinary Islamic Summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the OIC. Now, the special aircraft carrying the Prime Minister landed at the Royal Terminal, King Khalid International Airport, located about 35 kilometers north of Riyadh at 5 p.m. Malaysian time. Well, Dato' Sri Anwar was welcomed by Deputy Governor of Riyadh, Prince Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Abdul Aziz. And also at the airport to welcome Dato' Sri Anwar's arrival were Malaysian Ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Dato' Wan Zaidi Wan Abdullah, and his wife, Datin Zuhaila Abdul Latif. The Prime Minister, along with his wife, Dato' Sri Dr. Wan Aziza Wan Ismail, as well as other members of the Malaysian delegation, including Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fadil, then went and made their way to their lodging and was greeted by Foreign Minister Dato' Sri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir, who had arrived earlier. Well, leaders and delegates from OIC member states will gather at the summit hosted by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who is also the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Well, the government has identified a total of 10 out of 141 entry points in the country as pilot projects for the Single Border Agency, or SBA. The Home Minister, Dato' Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail, said the selection of the 10 entry points will be carried out according to several characteristics and uniqueness.
Kita mulakan langkah dengan melaksanakan dulu projek perintis lah, pilot project. Jadi kita akan memilih beberapa pintu masuk negara. Saya sebut tadi ada 141 pintu masuk yang diwartakan. Dan kita akan memilih sebahagiannya sejumlah untuk kita mulakan operasi SBA ini sebagai pilot project.
Among the 10 entry points are the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA, Terminals 1 and 2, the Immigration, Customs, Quarantine and Security, ICQS Complex in Rantau Panjang, and ICQ Johor, as well as in Sabah. He said this to reporters after the handing over ceremony of the Nibong General Operations Force, or PJA Southeast Brigade Post in Pengkalan Kubur, Tumpat, Kelantan today. Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim, during the tabling of Budget 2024, announced that he would establish the SBA. Dato' Sri Saifuddin said that the pilot project was expected to commence early next year and his ministry will prioritize the existing staff. Barisan Nasional BN Chairman Dato' Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has hinted that the party may field a direct candidate in the Kemaman parliamentary by-election scheduled to be held on 2nd December. Well, according to the UMNO President, the same method was used by BN in previous elections, where candidates were chosen without regard to the hierarchy of positions within the party, and it was well received. The Deputy Prime Minister said what is important is not only victory for the by-election, but that at least the majority of the votes of political opponents can be reduced.
Kita pernah melakukan pemilihan calon untuk direct candidate ataupun calon langsung tanpa melihat kepada hierarki jawatan di dalam parti, dan ini telah diterima dengan baik, dan besar kemungkinan kaedah yang sama akan kita lakukan di Kemaman ini.
He commented briefly on the criteria for BN candidates in the by-election when met by reporters after officiating the Kedah UMNO Political Bureau retreat today. The BN candidate for the by-election is expected to be announced this Monday in Kuala Lumpur. The Kemaman parliamentary by-election is being called following the Terengganu Election Court's ruling on 26 September, which nullified the victory of Che Alias Hamid from Perikatan Nasional, or PN, in the seat during the 15th general elections. The ruling was made after the petitioner successfully proved the existence of elements of corruption during the campaign period. The Election Commission set polling day for the Kemaman parliamentary by-election on 2nd December and nomination day on 18th November, while early voting is on 28th November. And here's an update on the weather front. Well, continuous rain is expected to occur on the east coast and north of Peninsular Malaysia as well as eastern Sabah from 16 until 18th November. Now, the Department of Meteorology Malaysia, Met Malaysia, in a statement today said based on an analysis of weather models, the monsoonal rain may cause an increase in humidity. Now, this condition would in turn lead to continuous rain. Now, the statement also said that Met Malaysia is monitoring the situation and will issue a continuous rain warning if necessary. The public is advised to refer to Met Malaysia's website at www.met.gov.my and the department's social media accounts. Furthermore, additional information can be obtained by downloading the My Cuaca application for the latest and authentic weather updates. The Malaysian Highway Authority, LLM, expects the number of vehicles plying the North-South Expressway, the Kuala Lumpur-Karak Expressway and the East Coast Expressway 1 and 2 to increase to 2.3 million in conjunction with the Deepavali holiday. Now, LLM said that all highway concessionaires have been instructed to make thorough preparations so that motorists' journeys are safe and smooth throughout the festive period. Now, LLM said it concerned and ordered the concessionaires to stop construction and maintenance works involving the closure of lanes starting yesterday until Tuesday. It said concessionaires were also instructed to add parking facilities and portable toilets at some R&Rs, increase the number of staff and ensure the adequacy of water and fuel supply at petrol stations, in addition to activating smart lanes at some locations. LLM said that although the free toll initiative is implemented today and tomorrow, members of the public are urged to ensure sufficient balance in their touch-and-go cards so as not to contribute to congestion at the toll plazas. Two crucial projects underway in Dunkil flood mitigation. Well, the National Farmers, Breeders and Fishermen's Day, or HPPNK 2023, has received an overwhelming response, with over 200,000 people attending the second day of the event at the Sultan Azlan Shah roundabout today. Now, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Dato' Sri Muhammad Sabu, said he is confident the total number of visitors will exceed their stipulated target of 350,000 people.
Alhamdulillah, sambutan cukup baik. Setakat ini sudah lebih 200,000 hadir, kira-kira baru pukul 4 petang ini. Jadi matlamat kita kehadiran lebih 350,000. Besok ada satu hari lagi, hari cuti penuh. Saya yakin kehadiran pelawat melebihi daripada target.
Well, he said this at a media conference after Deputy Prime Minister Dato' Sri Fadillah Yusof, who was representing the Prime Minister, launched the HPPNK 2023 celebration at the Sultan Azlan Shah roundabout in Ipoh. Well, according to Dato Sri Muhammad, the biannual celebration is an intermediary for farmers, breeders and fishermen to gain new exposure, expand collaboration networks and open strategic opportunities for business potential throughout the celebration period. The new concept of the HPNK 2023 provides special attraction to the youths by emphasizing 4 key areas, namely agro-millennia, agro-technology and innovation, prosperous Madani and agro-Madani. The government will carry out 2 high-priority flood mitigation projects, or RTB, worth 725.7 million ringgit, with the aim of resolving flood issues in Dengkil town up to Labuhan Dagang. While Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad said the Sungai Langat Phase 1 and 2 RTB projects are under the high-priority flood mitigation list.
RTB Sungai Langat Fasa 1 di dalam proses pengambilan tanah dan dijangka siap pada 2027. RTB Sungai Langat Fasa 2 pula dijangka bermula dalam tempoh 2 bulan lagi pada Januari 2024 dan siap sepenuhnya menjelang 2030. Jadi ia merupakan projek di bawah Tebatan Banjir Berkeutamaan Tinggi TBBT yang ada jumlah 11.8 bilion yang PM ada umum.
Nik Nazmi said the Drainage and Irrigation Department, JPS, wants developers to adhere to all development approvals linked to the urban storm water management components. Such compliance, he said, was vital as the flood occurrences at Jalan Utama Taman Warisan Surya and persimpangan FT29 FT32 since 5th November was due to silt water. He said this after a working visit to villages affected by floods near the Sungai Langat River in the Dengkil sub-district in Sepang. Well, members of the public can send old or broken gadgets to the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, e-waste collection centres so that they can be recycled or disposed of through the proper process. And Deputy Communications and Digital Minister Tioni Cheng said this initiative is a step towards reducing the nation's carbon footprint. With an estimated 364 million e-waste produced annually in the country, MCMC encourages green initiatives through the KITA program, which collects and recycles all gadgets.
So I think this is something very important. Kita nak promotekan lagi bahawa apabila kita ada e-waste ini, janganlah kita buang di tong sampah saja. Dia ada cara yang lain untuklah kita recycle material tu. Jadi saya harap bahawa ini merupakan salah satu usaha MCMC bersama dengan kita. Jadi saya harap bolehlah kita promote lagi supaya lagi lebih ramai orang tahu bahawa kalau laptop, handphone yang tak boleh guna pakai lagi, mereka boleh hantar ke MCMC ataupun lokasi ataupun pusat kita supaya e-waste itu boleh recycle.
She said this after officiating the Carbon Footprint en route to Nature program today. Teo added that the amount of e-waste will continue to increase, considering that everyone has at least 2 gadgets, such as a laptop and a mobile phone. Well, Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad expects Malaysia's gross domestic product, or GDP, to grow at 3.2% in the third quarter of 2023 amid resilient domestic demand despite external headwinds. Now, private consumption acted as the main driver of economic growth following the small uptick of 0.6% in labour productivity year-on-year during the quarter. Now, Bank Islam also said that sluggish external demand is expected to put a cap on growth, with exports plummeting by 15.2% in the third quarter as compared with the second quarters of negative 11.1%. In a research note, it said the ebbing external trade is believed to be due to the fragile global economy amid high global interest rate environment, geopolitical tensions and property woes in China. Now, the bank said it maintained the full-year GDP forecast at 3.7%, representing a slowdown from the 8.7% expansion recorded in 2022, partly reflecting the dissipating favorable base effects. It also expects unemployment to gradually return to pre-pandemic level, declining to 3.4% in 2023. The bank added that it also foresaw the inflation to slow the 2.7% in 2023 from 3.3% in 2022, due in part to the high base effects and the easing of supply chain constraints. Well, Vice President of China Han Zheng left for Beijing this afternoon, ending his 4-day official visit to Malaysia, which began on Wednesday. Now, the special aircraft carrying Han took off from the Pulau Pinang International Airport at 12 noon. Now, present to see him off were Pulau Pinang Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow, along with state executive councillors. During his visit to Malaysia, Han was granted an audience with Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al Sultan Abdullah Ri'ayatuddin Al Mustafa Billah Shah at Istana Negara before paying a courtesy call on Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim. Han, who was in Pulau Pinang for 2 days, also managed to pay a visit to Chow and discuss education issues, trade and activity planning in conjunction with the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties between Malaysia and China. In 2024, both countries will also celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. Still ahead, Iranian President calls for firm decision, action on Palestine. Well, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi has called on the leaders of Islamic countries to reach a firm decision on the issue of Palestine and fully implement it. Now, speaking on Saturday prior to attending the extraordinary meeting of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, or OIC, now Raisi said the meeting is what all people expect, especially the Islamic Ummah. Now, he said it is expected that the heads of Islamic countries will reach a firm decision on the issue of Palestine, which is the most important issue in the world, and the decision will be fully implemented, calling for action instead of paying lip service to the Palestinian issue. Now, he noted that Palestine is the reason behind the establishment of the OIC, adding that an immediate halt to Israeli bombardment of Gaza, opening of a way to help the people of Gaza, lifting the blockade of the enclave and realization of Gaza's rights are the main goals of the organization. Riyadh is hosting the extraordinary summit of the OIC on Saturday amid unprecedented Israeli attacks on the Palestinian people. At least 11,078 people have been killed by Israeli raids on Gaza, including 4,506 children, 3,027 women since 7th October. Well, doctors at Khan Yunis Nasir Hospital said they are hardly communicating with colleagues at Al Shifa Hospital, which suspended operations on Saturday, according to Palestinian health officials. Now, Dr. Mohammed Gandil said his colleagues are hardly communicating with the outside world. Now, the Palestinian Health Ministry said on Saturday that 39 babies are at risk of death in Gaza's Al Shifa Hospital after electricity was cut off and amid a lack of oxygen and medicine.
طبعا the situation in Shifa Hospital now are very critical. Nothing happened like this before. There is direct targeting of the hospital buildings. So our colleagues there, they barely communicate with the outside community. They are feeling that like they are facing death without any help and support. Calls for a human community was sent for the last few weeks that the hospital have nothing to do with this conflict.
The Israeli military has said that Hamas fighters have placed command centers under Shifa Hospital and others in Gaza, making them vulnerable to being considered military targets. Hamas has denied using civilians as human shields, and health officials said growing numbers of Israeli strikes or near hospitals put at risk patients, medical staff, and thousands of evacuees who have taken shelter in and near their buildings. In sports, Alex Marquez dominates Sepang sprint race. Stay with us.
Dengan dengan misi mesti menang. Semangat perjuangan terus diledakkan dalam setiap pertembungan. 14 pasukan, satu sorakan. Liga Super 2023 bersama kami di RTM, rakan penyiar NFL Liga Malaysia 2023.
Well, the Rakan Muda initiative, which was given a new lease of life with 10 lifestyles in June, now has over 1,074 million members with 3,888 programs implemented. Well, the Rakan Muda program, which was relaunched by Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim on 25th June, included Rakan Demokrasi, Rakan Lita, Rakan Aktif, Rakan Bumi, Rakan Digital, Rakan Ekspresi, Rakan Mahir, Rakan Niaga, and Rakan Prihatin.
Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh said that she would like to see as many young people as possible to benefit from the Rakan Muda programs, especially in empowering each other's potential and talents, improving skills and expanding networking.
Rakan Muda tahun ini memang kita sasarkan penyertaan 1 juta dan melalui 3,000 lebih program kita sudah mendapat penyertaan 1 juta. Tahun depan juga ini akan merupakan anchor utama program belia melalui KBS dan 20 juta ini kita akan rancangkan untuk pastikan duit ini sampai kepada setiap negeri yang akan melaksanakan program Rakan Muda yang berbeza untuk menarik minat dan mengisi masa lapang golongan belia.
She said this when met after officiating the 2023 National Youth Awards APBN today. Yeoh also said that youth in Malaysia were now bolder to get involved and become important people in policy making and government policies. She said the Ministry of Youth and Sports was aware that the characteristics of youth had changed along with the speed of technology and challenging economic, social and political changes.
Well, Alex Marquez of Gresini Racing shocked Pramac Racing's Jorge Martin and reigning champion Francisco Bagnaia to win the Malaysian Grand Prix Sprint, as the title contenders came in second and third respectively. Now, with the clouds looming but the sky staying dry over the Sepang International Circuit, Marquez, who started in the fourth grid, displayed a fine ride to chase the front pack, crossing the finish line in 19 minutes 58.713 seconds. And reigning world champion Francisco Bagnaia meanwhile grabbed pole position for tomorrow's race after dominating the qualifying session held earlier.
Bagnaia, chasing his second world crown, had the first half of the sprint under control after starting from pole, but the 26-year-old Italian was unable to hold off a late surge by Marquez. Bagnaia had earlier set a lap record of 1 minute 57.491 seconds. The sprint result meant Bagnaia's championship lead over Spain's Martin was reduced to 11 points ahead of Sunday's race. Inia Bastianini took the fourth slot as Ducati bikes filled the first 4 places, with KTM South African rider Brad Binder being the best among the non-Ducatis, finishing 5th.
I didn't expect to make that difference in the sprint race. I was more looking positive for the long race, but not for the sprint, because I thought that with 10 laps it would be difficult to make the difference, so when I saw it last lap plus 1.2, I was surprised. But yeah, I attacked in a perfect moment. I was overtaking in a perfect way, and we did
After Sunday's race, MotoGP travelled to Qatar and Valencia later this month to complete the season.
In football, Karim Benzema recorded a hat-trick to lead Al Ittihad to a 4-2 win over Abha in the club's first match since title-winning coach Nuno Espirito Santo was fired. Now, the defending Saudi Pro League champs sacked Santo earlier this week after going 5 matches without a win and a reported locker room argument with Benzema.
Benzema, who moved to Saudi Arabia after leaving Real Madrid this past summer, opened the scoring by converting a 38th-minute penalty at Prince Abdullah Al Faisal Stadium. The 35-year-old also supplied the assist for Brazilian Igor Coronado to put the home side back in front of the Carl Toko Ikambi had level for Abha. there was plenty more to come from the former France international as he scored twice in as many minutes midway through the second half to make the win safe for Al Ittihad. Both goals came from clinical finishes after Benzema was put one-on-one with the opposition goalkeeper following quick breakaways. Fahad bin Jumaya scored a late consolation goal to make the result a little more respectable for the overmatch Abha. The victory takes them up to 5th in the Saudi Pro League standings, 11 points behind leaders Al Hilal after 13 games. Meanwhile, league leaders Al Hilal continued their winning streak with a 2-0 shutout of surprising Al Tawaun on Friday in Riyadh. Al Hilal mostly controlled the tightly played match, outshooting Al Tawaun 14-8, but couldn't find a way past Brazilian goalkeeper Mallison until 2 late second-half strikes gave them their 11th win of the season. After having a first-half goal waved off, Serbian striker Aleksandar Mitrovic finally broke open the match in the 81st minute when he headed home a free kick from midfielder Malcolm. Al Hilal's Mohamed Kanu then added an insurance goal 9 minutes into injury time to put the game out of reach for Al Tawaun. The win gave Al Hilal 35 points on the season and extended their lead over second-place Al Nasser to 7 points, while Al Tawaun remains in 4th place on 25 points.
And in tennis, home favorite Ugo Humbert will square off against Alexander Shevchenko in the final of the 2023 Moselle Open on Saturday. Now, Humbert knocked out Dominic Thiem and Harold Mayo to make the last 4, where he was up against Fabio Fognini.
The Frenchman made light work of his opponent in the first set as he dished out a bagel to claim it. The second set wasn't as one-sided as the previous one, but Fognini was reduced to the role of a spectator and wasn't able to do much. Humbert broke the Italian serve twice to win the match 6-love, 6-2 and reach his first final since June 2021. Shevchenko, who scored wins over Matthias Boche, Mate Valkuz and Karen Kachanov to make the semi-finals, took on Pierre-Hugh Herbert for a place in the title round. Shevchenko went up a double break in the first set to lead 4-1. Herbert managed to get one of the breaks back, but couldn't close the gap completely as the Russian managed to clinch the set. The two were evenly matched for most of the second set, but Shevchenko pulled away in the end, bagging the last 3 games of the match to score a 6-4, 6-4 victory and advance to his maiden ATP final.
76 minit tanpa henti. 76 minutes non-stop. Transparent and concise. Paparan komprehensif, ringkas dan padat. Saksikan Kanta 744, 7.44 malam. Berita perdana 8 malam. Malaysia Tonight, 8:30 p.m.
Well, that's it from us this evening. In our top story, 10 pilot project locations identified for single border agency. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Mohammed Amin Carlos. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.